Hey guys, welcome back to the Subpar Grappling Podcast, where we grapple with life, disabilities, and real people. I'm your host, Alan Flores, and today I have a great interview for you guys. It's our friend Emmanuel Rivera. We all know him as E-Man. He has a nonprofit called the Como Foundation, where he goes and works with underprivileged children around the city and teaches them martial arts for free. It's a great cause, so I hope you enjoy this interview. What's up, man? Welcome to the show.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for having me, man.
Oh, yeah, it's an honor having you.
Hey, it's an honor being here, brother.
So, you're my first guest that's like out from my church, so I should know if you did here, like, my sports, so this is really cool.
Man, it's again, it's what you do is amazing. So I follow your self grappling page and follow you, and again, it's just an inspiration, bro.
I appreciate it. And so, tell us a little about your story. You're the president, CEO of the Como Foundation. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm an executive director and the founder of the Come Up Foundation. So the Come Up Foundation is literally we're just out trying to help underserved kids by offering free mixed martial arts training. As you know, you're a martial artist. It's not cheap.
Yeah.
It's not cheap to train. It's well worth it, right? It's definitely worth it, but it doesn't mean that everybody can afford it financially. So we created this specifically to come into the underserved areas and offer this for free. So we provide everything for the kids, the gloves, shin guards, mouthpieces, whatever, anything. I don't want any hurdles for these kids to have an excuse to not come, right? So what we do is really we create a bunch of hubs all over Oklahoma City.
You guys are all
We're all over the place, man. We typically, during school, we try to get in about 10 to 15 locations. We have several locations after school as well. During the summer, we again, the same thing. We have about 10 different locations that we try to schedule every summer. And, every season we try to grow that by hiring new martial artists, by getting into new schools. OKCPS, our biggest milestone was OKCPS. Man, that was just a dream come true, I think, for not only me, but for, a lot of combat sports and martial artists around. Sometimes we sit around and we talk, after training, and there's always that conversation of how martial arts has helped you, right, yourself and whoever's talking. And I think that getting into the schools was something that we all knew as martial artists that it would help the kids.
Oh, yeah, no, that's big. And like those high school kids, they need to let out turn that aggression because they got a lot going on. And like, it's funny how we like beat each other up and then just hang out.
Yeah. It is. I mean, we're all exhausted, right? You're exhausted. You got these endorphins going. Some of our greatest conversations, I feel like, is after training because you feel good, and you're just kind of more open. The walls are down, and that's kind of how we do with the kids, man. A lot of these kids that are underserved, they put these walls up because they grew up in certain environments, right? And after the training, we have these talks. We have an anti-bullying curriculum. We have leadership curriculums, and we really just sit down with the kids and just be open-minded. We're just listening. We're listening to these kids, and sometimes that's all they need. They just need someone to listen, someone to give them direction, and that's our main goal.
Yeah, and no, that's awesome. Now I trained together a few times, like, and you got some fun kids, man. Like, it's fun to go with them and train with them and teaching stuff. Like,
they love you, man.
Because like teaching is hard for me because like it makes sense in my head the way I do things, but when I tell them to do something, I'm like, they don't know what that means.
Right.
I got a teacher.
Yeah.
It's cool to teach.
It's like layman's terms. You gotta like break it down and.
The other day I was there. We were teaching the single leg takedown. They kept telling one of the kids to like bend their head to the inside.
Mm-hmm.
They just like looked up at me and he was like, "Oh, you don't know what that means." Hold on, let me.
Right.
It's fun. So we've trained jiu-jitsu together. And you did a lot of MMA. So, like, what got you into martial arts?
Man, growing up in high school. So I'm from Chicago originally, but Chicago, Illinois, is from the South Side. Lived on Cicero area, very bad area. At the time, I didn't like my parents because they were moving me to Oklahoma, and from Chicago to a small town named Henrietta, Oklahoma. The only thing we claim in Henrietta is Troy Aikman. So, and I was the only, Troy Aikman's from Henrietta. Yeah, well, now you know. I like passing that info on because they're like, "Where's Henrietta?" So I always throw that out there, like, Troy Aikman, yeah, that's where he's from. So it went from, it's a culture shock, right? And not only the size, but my family were the only Spanish speaking Hispanic family essentially in Henrietta. And a lot came with that, right? So identity, I didn't know my identity. I wasn't an athlete, or I thought I wasn't an athlete, in high school. I tried every sport: football, basketball, golf, track, tennis, you name it. I tried it. But I think part of me not being good at any of those sports was my thought of hard work at the time is a lot different than it is now, right? I thought that hard work was something then. I would put some work in, and if it didn't work out, then I was like, I'm out. So I think that was part of it. Sometimes we got to change our mentality of what, hard work and work ethic is. I was working at a restaurant, my uncle's restaurant, all the time, and that was kind of my main focus, helping. My mom was a single mom, taking care of three of us. So my main focus was really just trying to help her out. She did an amazing job raising us, obviously. It taught us everything that we know, as far as, navigating through life, being respectful. She always showed us work ethic. So I think I got a lot of that from her, but we were always trying to help my mom, always trying to make sure that she was good too. But eventually I ended up moving out when I was 16. And I didn't go to school. I just didn't go. I mean, I didn't have no one wake me up. So I was like, I'm just not going to go to school. And long story short, the principal ended up being the football coach. He took a liking to me. And he told me, it was a senior year. And he said, finish these last few weeks. It was actually, I think, like a month and a half. And I will graduate you, because I think he knew that I meant well. I just didn't have that male role model to kind of direct me. So I'm very thankful to Coach Wyan. He's, I remember that because that showed me that someone cared. And so I finished school and I was able to graduate at least and grab that diploma. And I tell these kids that I train now, some of them are like thinking about doing a GED. I'm like, man, you're right there. You're a junior or senior, like go finish the race. Absolutely. You will not regret it. So anyways, I just didn't believe I was an athlete. I didn't believe I wasn't really good enough at a lot of things. And martial arts was what showed me what work ethic was, what my value was. I found my identity, through martial arts. So that's really how I got into it, man. I started doing backyard boxing. From Henrietta, when I graduated, I moved to Las Vegas. I did magazine crew door to door. I actually went to Seattle first. Long story short, ended up in Vegas in a party house. Yeah. And we started doing backyard boxing and started doing bets and all kinds of stuff. And that's how we kind of made a little money, on the side. I'd come home from work. And it was a party house. It was a party house. So the 3-level party house. My friend Chewy was the guy that lived there, him and his mom, and they were nice enough to let me live with them. And yeah, so it was a fun time, but it wasn't the environment that I needed. And I knew that I had to get back to Oklahoma and help my mom and brother and sister and stuff like that. So, but martial arts, when I got back to Tulsa, from Vegas, I joined a gym and I started kind of getting serious about it. So that's really what got me into mixed martial arts, is just trying to find my identity.
That's awesome, dude. That's an awesome sport. And so, once you started doing martial arts, you started doing like actual MMA, and you were what, amateur MMA?
Yep.
So, like, yeah, I've competed before, but for people who don't know, what's that like going into like your first match? You know what I mean? Like during the camp.
Yeah.
During the diet, during the. all the things, and then you're there.
It's a it's a feeling that I feel like a lot of men should try out. A lot of
Yeah,
males, even females, you learn a lot about yourself,
yeah,
right? You know that. You learn a lot about yourself. The anxiety you feel, the discipline you gotta have for diet, for training. MMA is the toughest sport in my opinion out there, right? There's so many disciplines, and wrestling's tough, boxing's tough, but it's just one discipline.
yeah.
Right? When you're doing mixed martial arts, you have to be good at wrestling. You have to do a little judo. You got to do a little Muay Thai, a little kickboxing, little boxing. Make sure your conditioning is good. Make sure you're cutting weight. Make sure you're eating right. There's just so much to mixed martial arts, but I fell in love with the challenge because I never really challenged myself in high school. I thought I did, right? But I would quit way too soon.
Yeah, when you got tough.
Absolutely. Martial arts showed me what tough really was. And it's not you walking around, like this acting tough. That's not tough, right?
Yeah,
Tough is getting through the tough times.
right.
Tough is hitting your mental wall and then going through that
Yeah,
that threshold.
during that last round, you're like out.
Yes.
Listen, I do one more round.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And you know how that is, man. It's sometimes you're just like, oh, I want to sit this one out, but then someone's like, hey, you want to roll? And you can't say no. You're just like, yeah, let's go.
At the gym, I remember like when we do the gauntlets,
Yeah.
like you've been in the middle for like 20 minutes, and like it's your last one. You let last dude just walks in fresh.
Yeah. Yeah. It's defeating. And congratulations on your brown belt, brother. That is just amazing. Seriously, that is next level, man. But yeah, you're right. We had plenty of Shark Tanks in MMA as well, where you get a fresh guy every minute or every 2 minutes or whatever that setup is, and
For like sparring, like
yeah,
punching and everything.
yeah, it's live sparring. So you're talking a mixed martial arts match.
Okay.
Those Shark Tanks or those gauntlets, they're not made for you to win.
Right.
You're gonna lose every single time, right? It's not made for you to come out on top. It's made for you to get defeated mentally, so you can feel that. And then when you go into the match or the fight, you're like, it's not gonna be tougher than that.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be tougher than the Shark Tank. It's not gonna be tougher than the gauntlet that I just went through,
Right.
right? And it's a guy your size. He's as tired as you are. All these things kind of even out. These Shark Tanks are made for you to feel like
Yeah.
defeated, but you learn so much from that, man. Absolutely.
Yeah. And what was your record? How many fights did you have?
In total, with boxing, amateur, mixed martial art, I went 8-0 as a boxer, and then I switched over to mixed martial arts. When I was in Tulsa, I was training with a guy named Chavis Smith. He had passed away, so rest in peace, Chavis. He was the one that really switched me over from boxing to mixed martial arts. He was getting ready for a fight. Anyways, I fell in love with it, the whole grappling and all that too. So from boxing, I went 8-0, and then as an amateur mixed martial artist, I went 5-2, and then as a professional, I went 6-2. So total, I think it was like 20-4,
Dude, that's
all the way all together. So yeah.
Yeah, so on this podcast, I try and talk about disabilities, and you told me before that you had to kind of halt your career because of heart condition.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind, share.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a dark time because, as I'm telling you, it was hard to find my identity. In high school, I didn't find it. I couldn't grasp it. I didn't know where to go, where to turn. It was a small town. Coming from a big city, and this is the reason why I moved to Oklahoma City. But yeah, so I had my mixed martial arts career, and then I started kind of feeling like my cardio was off, and I didn't know, but I didn't pay attention to it. I just worked harder, right? I didn't know. So I was getting ready for a Bellator fight. It was my third one, third or fourth, can't remember, but and I just pass out randomly. I would pass out randomly, just cooking. Not even in training or right after training or anything like that. I could just be cooking or, in the living room, whatever, and just pass out. So, yeah, I know. I know. It's funny looking back, man. I'm here, so it doesn't matter. But,
Ow, ow.
yeah. I literally remember the first time I passed out, I woke up from the ground And I thought I was just getting up from picking something up. I remember thinking that, like, oh, I must have been picking something up or something. If you've ever been choked out, I don't know if you have, but I never have been choked out either. But I've been out. You wake up like wondering what happened, right? So in my mind, I just kind of thought, oh, I was picking something up from the ground. And then my girl at the time said she got freaked out, and I went to bed. And when I sat in bed, passed out again. And yeah, so then I went to the hospital. They couldn't figure out what was going on. Long story short, they put a chip in my chest to monitor because they couldn't figure it out, monitor what was going on. And for 4 years, I wore that monitor, and the doctors were hoping that I would pass out again because at that point they could see what went wrong. Well, of course, I didn't pass out at all in those 4 years. Right, it's good but bad, right? It's kind of yeah, right. I'm like hoping I pass out so they can figure it out. So then I ended up taking the chip out on my chest, and then I thought, well, let me see if I can compete again. So I started getting ready for another competition, kickboxing competition, after being out for 4 years and getting ready for it, and started feeling that same feeling. And it was about 5 weeks into the camp. Right. So I think it's the the stress and everything that maybe that gets me there. I don't know. But then I went to a doctor that actually I know very well, Dr. McCullum. He's amazing, a good friend. And he said, man, you gotta go see an endocrinologist. And so he sent me to an endocrinologist, and it was pretty crazy because for 4 years they couldn't figure out, right? This guy saw my medical sheet or whatever you want to call it, and in a minute he was reading it. He goes, I know what you have. You have Graves' disease. And he goes, well, before he said that, he goes, before I tell you what I think it is, are your symptoms this, and that? And I was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, I'm almost 100% sure you have Graves' disease. So Graves' disease sounds scarier than it is, right? Yeah. I know it's like coffin disease, but it's not. No, so Graves' disease is basically your thyroid. My thyroid is overproducing hormones, which then makes my heart, the way he described it is makes my heart run a marathon all day. So it's running a marathon all day. My resting heart rate was 80 something, so then I would go train, and the first 2 rounds, my heart rate was, in the high 150s, 160s. I felt like I did 8 rounds, 9 rounds. So then it started making sense. They told me that my hormones, that my thyroid was producing too many hormones, and that I would have to have surgery. That means cutting my neck and getting the thyroid out. And I was like, oh, that sounds terrible.
It's like super invasive.
Yes. So they said, you can either kill your thyroid inside your body, take medicine for the rest of your life, right? Or get it out and then take medicine for the rest of your life. And I was like, well, I guess I'm gonna have to have surgery. That's the safest one, I guess, the most sure. So I started looking into fasting, man, and that's the only thing I changed within those 4 months of seeing the doctor and telling me I need surgery, and then going back to get my surgery. I went back. He did some blood work, and he was surprised that, he said, what have you been doing? And I was like, I've been just fasting, 18 hours. And again, I'm not saying that's what it was, but that's the only thing I changed. So he said, man, one of your hormones is almost completely gone. The other one's been cut in half. He goes, I don't think you're going to have surgery anymore.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
Insane, right? Now I was taking my medicine, of course, too, with it. So he basically said, the other option is you take this medicine for 2 years, and I think that your thyroid will go into remission. He said, you want to try that? I said, absolutely. So I'm just taking my medicine and, hoping that in about 1.5 years, I stop taking it, and then maybe my thyroid will go into remission. So I'm still doing my fasting. I'm eating, trying to eat right, exercise, doing all the right things to make sure that I have the best possibility for remission when it comes down to it. But yeah, man, it was devastating to hear the doctor come in and say, you know, you're not gonna fight anymore, and I had to pull out of that kickboxing.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
Pittsburgh. I was like, man, that's rough.
it was rough, but yeah,
Damn. I was talking to my friend on the previous episode. He's got, muscle dystrophy.
yeah.
And he was, getting pretty good at basketball when he figured out that he had, like, he's not gonna be able to play anymore. And so, I guess, for someone who's, like, going through that, it's like, hey, I got injured, or I got this, I got that, and I can't do what I want to do now. Like, what would you, advice for them? What would you say to them?
You know, I would say that you obviously have a talent, right?
Yeah.
And to me, the most gratifying thing is helping others. Really, I never thought I would get more gratification than getting my hand raised in a fight. Right? There's a lot of emotions, and you feel it on top of the world when you put in all this work, and then you come out on top, right? But this is where the come up kind of started. I tried to do the come up many years ago, but so I would say is help others, right? Because me passing on the knowledge that I do have to these kids, and them, them getting emotional, because they're changing their lives. I mean, we've had so many kids get emotional over, getting their bands from the come up, their promotional bands, or just seeing change on the scale, or, whatever that is, those small wins. These kids get so emotional on these wins, man. It makes me emotional, but it's so gratifying. It really is. And I've never been so sure that this is what I want to do the rest of my life, is doing the come up and making this program bigger and bigger and scaling it all over the U.S. eventually. I mean, that's the goal.
That would be awesome. Like, I've been there a few times. I've seen, what you do with the kids and how you talk to them. It's awesome, dude. Like, there are a lot of kids all over the country who need that, that tough love, that
Yes.
support, and so like, you guys, aggression for boys and girls.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, we're co-ed, but I think mostly boys are the ones that kind of get drawn to the mixed martial arts, and we have a few girls, and we should, we absolutely focus on them as well. We're looking at bringing some women as well into the program, but yeah, man, it's so gratifying. You've been there, you've seen the boys, you came and trained with them as well, and you see what the boys do, man. They smile, they love it, they love it. Absolutely.
And so so were you trying to build a foundation while you're doing MMA, or did your career get cut off and then all my eggs go into the come up?
Yeah. So I'll go back a little bit. So whenever I was fighting, I'm still working for the Sports Animal, doing radio stuff. I started as a technician there. Well, thank you. I started as a technician, man.
Yeah.
I started training Bob Berry Jr. Rest in peace. He's a big name around here. His dad was an OU announcer and all that. Bob Berry was on the news, News 9, I believe it was. I can't.
Been here a few years.
Yeah, right.
I don't know all the latest folks.
Yeah, and so Bob Berry was the first one to get me on the air. He said, "Hey, we got the McGregor fight coming up. You want to come and talk?" I was the technician, so I set up the stuff at the remote places. So I set the stuff up, and then I'm just over here on my own reading books or whatever. And he was like, "Hey, you want to come on?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely. I would love to." So he was the one that kind of got me on, and just one thing turned into another, and everyone else started, getting me on, and then Matt Meyer and Craig Humphreys, these are guys on the Sports Animal, really gave me a shot on their shows. And anyways, that's how I rolled over. And at that time, I was also teaching ballroom dancing. So I was teaching, yeah. Did you know that or no?
I think one time we talked about
Maybe, yeah.
Because you mentioned it. We talked about it.
So I taught salsa, merengue, foxtrot, tango. Yeah, and what we would do is exact same thing I'm doing with the come up. We would go into the schools. We'd have 12 weeks to teach these kids how to dance. And you can imagine all these athletes rolling their eyes and like, what are we doing, dancing, what? Yeah. And then yeah, but little do they know that it works, it helps footwork, right? It helps footwork and it helps coordination, hand-eye coordination. And so these boys that were eye rolling at the beginning were the ones that were competing for me at the end, because we would have 12 weeks to get them ready, and then we would go to Rose State College and we would compete with other instructors and their kids. Yeah, so it was a cool, there was a competition aspect to it, so it was cool. It was called Life Change Ballroom.
So you guys like building choreographies, the whole.
Yep. So I wasn't a dancer, so I literally, I like to just learn things. And a girl was like, we need some like, male role models, and you're a fighter and you'd be perfect. And I was like, I'm not a dancer. I don't, and actually my mom and dad were salsa dance competitors in Chicago. Yeah. So I was thinking, well, maybe it's my blood, So I went through the training. I went and trained all the dances, the foxtrot, the swing. I mean, you name it, right? So so then I went to the training, got certified, and then started training kids. And again, we would go and compete, Rose State College, and then the founder of Life Change Ballroom, named Cindy Pipkin, amazing. She was like, what if, I told her, what if we do a Life Change boxing?
Yeah.
Right. This was 12 years ago.
Okay.
We tried, but combat sports wasn't as well received as it is now,
Just, people hitting each other type thing.
Yeah. These schools are like, what? Bringing violence into the schools, and it just didn't work out. Right. And I've learned in life, everything's timing, right? Everything's timing. So at the time, we kind of shut that idea down. Many years later, I obviously went to amateur, pro scene, had the whole grave disease thing and stopped. And then at that time, I owned a shake shop, like nutrition shakes. Yeah, you remember that? Yeah. And while we were there, it wasn't my passion. Right. And I was just thinking, what can we do? One of my friends found, he was like, maybe we should kind of think about, birthing that idea of getting boxing or martial arts into the school, or in all over the city. He didn't say the schools. He didn't think I could get him in the schools, actually. He was like, I don't know if that's going to work. And I was like, well, martial arts has changed, right? People have changed the perspective of what martial arts is and what we as martial artists, like how we carry ourselves. We're not these barbaric, what do they call it? Cockfighting, back in the day, that, they called it all that. So, man. So one thing led to another, and I sold the shop and started focusing full time. And we ended up getting into the schools, and next thing you know, OKCPS approved us. John Marshall made us the first elective option as an MMA class for these high schoolers to take. So, brother, it's been amazing. It's like I said, this is why I've never been so sure this is what I want to do the rest of my life. We just all these little signs, right? Sometimes you got to look around, and these signs are there to show you that you're on the right path, and that's how I feel about it.
No, that's good, man. I need to get to class. That's fun. That's cool that, like, a lot of the, a lot of, like you said, the small sense of trick have led to this kind of, big thing. And I feel like there's a lot of people out there, including myself, that, like, I don't win a lot in competition. There are people who don't win, who, like, train their hearts out, dude, and that's, and, come up short. And so, if someone is going through that right now, where they're like, coming up short, how would you, encourage them more? What would you say to them?
I would say don't focus on the wins or losses. Focus on what you're doing, and compare that to the people that aren't doing it.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you're doing more. Like, I look at you, man, and people make excuses, and you can make excuses if you wanted, man, but you're not. You're out there working. You're out there. So that's what I look at. Like, for example, whenever I would go into a fight, I would have some of the worst anxiety. You know, you can imagine, obviously, and you've been there. It could be for competition. You have some of the worst anxiety you can ever have, but you start learning how to control that. The way I would suppress that is think about the people who are less fortunate than me, or people that go to military that don't know if they're coming back or not. Right?
Yeah.
That's life and death.
Oh, yeah.
That's real anxiety.
Yeah.
So then I would tell myself, this is not real anxiety I have right now. This is me overthinking it. I'm here because I want to be. I'm here because I can be. I'm here because, you know, I'm about to perform in front of my family. So I start suppressing that. Like, I'm here to have fun.
Yeah.
Right. So I would tell those people is, man, you're doing more. You're out there doing it, right? Whether you win or lose, you're out, you're training, you're putting your heart out. You know, that's what I would focus on. Are you getting gains in your life because of it? Is your mind feeling better? Are you feeling, you know, are you walking a little different because you're training, right? Yeah. Don't worry about the wins and losses, okay, right? Worry about the journey along the way, because the destination, eventually you start seeing like, this is where I'm supposed to be. Yeah. Win, lose, it doesn't matter. This is where I'm supposed to be. And if that makes you happy, then stay on that track and don't worry about the wins and losses. That's what I would say.
Because again, that's what I'd say right now. Because I only won once in the purple belt.
Yeah.
I lost. My belt lost. My belt lost. I lost the purple belt.
Yeah.
I've only won like one match at the purple. And like I'm about to compete next Saturday.
Yeah.
As of right now.
Yeah.
And it's like a jiu-jitsu on. Like a, you know,
yeah,
people with this spirit.
It's like, amazing.
And so like, yeah, it is. And like I'm super grateful for it. But like I'm also like anxious that like, okay, now I can't say, well, I'm disabled. I'm supposed to lose it. Now I'm like more anxious that I might lose.
No.
And you know, I ain't going out there to have fun. But like in the back of my head, I'm like, I have to win.
Yeah. Oh, that's the competitor in you, though. That's okay to have that mentality, right? That's okay to have that mentality. Just don't put all your eggs in that basket if you don't win, right? I mean, like, you went out there and competed. You're doing more, you know, I mean, there's people out there that, again, don't have, they don't have an excuse. They just make excuses. Yeah. Right. And you're an inspiration to many, man. And I see you, what you're doing, and I get inspiration from that. I really do. So the fact that you're driving to go and compete, and you're searching things to put yourself out there in these hard positions, right? Because our mind is made to keep us from these dangerous positions, right? So your mind is supposed to be doing what it's supposed to be doing, which is giving you anxiety and telling you, get the hell out of here. What are you doing? You don't have to be doing this, right? You tell that voice to shut up, and you say, no, I'm here, right? So you got to put a win on that, because a lot of people get defeated for much less. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, man, absolutely. So how does it come up, work? So you said you provide all the gear, all the gear, all the facilities, different hubs all over the place. How does that work? Because, for someone who's curious. Yeah. So we create relationships with churches. Obviously, we're in the schools, community centers. Okay. So we're in we were in the Dream Center. We're in the City Center. We're in all kinds of different churches all around, schools. Anyone with a space that wants to utilize that space to help kids out, we will come. We're a traveling program. Okay. We don't have a gym. We don't have a set gym, because at the end of the day, I was like, well, do we get a gym? But if I get a gym, I'm just servicing what's around the gym. Yeah. Right? Because these kids don't have transportation, and so the game plan is, well, let's create hubs all over Oklahoma City so these kids can walk to these hubs and get free training with different trainers, etc. And the way we do that is I fundraise. We fundraise. It's been a huge help. Fountain Holland, we got a great team. We got Carl Belford. He was my wrestling coach throughout my mixed martial arts career. He was in my corner. My sister's an executive assistant. So we have a few trainers. Kaylin Webster. We have Nathan from AMA. Villapando. His name is Nathan Villapando. We have Bobby. We have who else? I know I'm missing somebody else, but I'll think of it. But yeah, it's honestly having martial artists that are coming up,
Yeah.
being able to pay them, because I know how it is.
Yeah.
You know, coming up as a mixed martial artist, you typically don't have that 9 to 5. You try to have something that makes you, you know, kind of odd hours to so you can train in the morning and, you know, in the afternoons and do your 2 to 3 days. And so I know how hard financially it can be. So what we try to do is provide jobs for these guys, and then also they're just mentoring kids, right?
Yeah.
So but yeah, we provide gloves, shin guards, everything. By literally, my job is to go out and get these donations,
Yeah.
right? So we're 100%, you know, 100% give back to these kids, and we're just creating more and more appendages to this program. We have our first kind of graduating, you know, guys now, because we've been doing it for 3 years now.
Okay.
So we had guys that were 14 with us. Now they're 17, 18.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's really cool. And now I'm like, well, what do I do with these kids? Right? I don't want them to leave us.
Yeah.
I want to be a part of their lives, you know, as long as they want us there, right? And so we created a leadership program where I meet with these kids 2 or 3 times a week with these leaders. And we go over things that they don't learn in school, like budgeting, you know, emotional control, financing, your credit, you know. And I'm not an expert at any of it, so I do a lot of research.
Yeah.
And I tell these guys, you know, take my word with, you know, a grain of rice, because I don't, you know, I'm not an expert, but I certainly do my research, and I tell them I would give this advice to my kids. So I talk to you guys like as if you were my kids, right? And yeah, that's we keep trying to create more and more appendages to this program as we go. You know, you start with one destination, and the destination starts changing. You know, but it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful problem to have.
That's awesome, man. I wish I had that when I was a kid, because I wasn't, I grew up with my dad. With my mom and dad were together but separated. And
Yeah.
I grew up sometime with mom, and then I grew up with my dad in high school. And I didn't know, about finances. And, like, I didn't even know how the school system worked.
Right, right.
It's just, during this class at this time, okay, I'll be there.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, outside of that, I'm like, apply for college. I didn't know I had to apply for college. Like, I could just go.
Yeah, no, 100%.
A lot of kids don't know that. And especially, these underprivileged.
Yes.
Their parents didn't go to college, and, they don't know better. And so they're just kind of like, well, just do whatever.
Yeah, and a lot of these kids, you know, will follow their parents' footsteps,
Yeah.
and you know, and that's fine. But we
Yeah.
want to show these kids that there's more options.
Oh, for
You know,
sure.
if they want to be a firefighter, a policeman, in the military, if they want to do a trade, you know, they want to go to college. You know, if they don't want to go to college, then we tell them you better have a plan, right? You know, I believe that college isn't everything. I think that but you better have a set plan or a passion or something to, you know, fall back on. So yeah, I mean, it's really giving these kids direction. And these kids really they eat it up, man. You know, they're so focused. We just had a conversation class with Dot Ryan. She's an amazing woman. She was the fundraiser for Fields and Futures. So Fields and Futures goes around and fixes all the football fields, baseball fields, and all that from the schools. Because if you have a awesome field, then kids want to play, and if they play, then typically academics go up, and right. So it's this chain reaction, and they do an amazing job, man. They do an amazing job, and Dot has been amazing. And these kids, man, we have these conversation coach classes, which, you know, to most kids that age, they probably feel like it's kind of school, and they may not want to do it, or it feels kind of boring. But these kids come and they're ready, taking notes. They're asking questions. They talking about real estate already, you know, and they're 17 years old, brother.
Oh, really?
Bro, it's insane. Like when I was 17, I was being a dummy. You know what I mean? Yeah. Right. Bro, yeah, drugs and video games and all kinds of stuff. And, you know, like you, I wish I would have had this. So I think in that perspective, what would I want from this program? And I try to really focus on creating those things for these kids. I mean, you can imagine some of the stories that we have, for these kids, just insane homes, home lives. These kids don't even want to go home sometimes, right? And it's sad. And then when we're dropping them off and they're wanting to buy more time by telling us like, hey, hold on, I want to talk for a little bit, or and it makes me happy, but also makes me sad that I have to let them out the door and get back into their toxic environment.
Yeah.
So eventually, I want to be able to get have apartments for these kids. I want to be able to just be a full service for these kids that have toxic lives at home, and they want to do better. So that's the ultimate goal, and we will get there. Everything's timing though. Everything's timing, and I'm very patient.
Let's just say there's a kid out there who doesn't know about the foundation and
Yeah.
kind of lost. So, what would you say to this kid?
Yeah.
In this toxic environment right now and doesn't really have direction at the moment, have like advice for any of those kids?
Yeah, I would say talk to a peer that you trust, right? Even if you don't think this person, this teacher, this educator, this role model, even if you don't think that they may or may not listen, if they are the person that you think they are, then they will listen. If you are serious, if you walk up to them and say, hey, coach, or hey, teacher, or hey, so-and-so, I have this toxic environment at home and I really want to change. If these people really care, then they will find a resource for you. There's resources out there for, there's programs like us. There's many other programs and many other amazing nonprofits that cater to those kids, that mentor these kids, that give these kids direction and options. We're not the only ones. I truly believe we're one of the best ones because we're like one of the only ones that do like the martial arts and all that. And I'm biased, with you're biased with me, right? Martial arts is what saved us. So I truly believe that doing something tough, right, voluntarily, is one of the best medicines to make your mental health stronger.
Do the hard thing.
Yeah, absolutely. But voluntarily, right? You got to make yourself go.
Yeah.
And it should be hard enough that you question the next day if you should go or not, right? Because you've been humbled so bad. But trust me, and you know this, when we go into training, we get humbled. I don't care what size, or there's always that one person that's going to humble you. And he could be a 13-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Jet. All right. So he just sounded a big deal.
How old is that now? 17?
I don't know, but yeah. I mean, and there's those kids, especially now, it's evolving. So you see these kids getting younger and even better younger.
They were like 4.
Right. And I tell these kids that I mentor now, I'm like, man, I started training when I was like 20.
Yeah.
You guys are 13, 14, 15. You guys have many years, so if you think I did something, imagine where you guys can be with your dedication and resources that we're giving y'all. Like, the sky's the limit. Like, how bad do you want it? You got to show effort.
Because all that stuff isn't cheap. And the gym memberships, the food, the coaching.
The geese.
The transportation.
Yeah.
Expensive, man.
Yeah, but if you're going to invest and spend money on anything, invest it in yourself, right? It's not a waste. I promise you that. Getting those brand new Jordans and, when you only have $100 left, go buy a gym membership if you can afford it, right? If you can afford a pair of Jordans, you can go, get you a month of some training, but make yourself go. Yeah. And I think that martial arts is that vehicle. Like Joe Rogan says, it's one of the best vehicles to unlocking your human potential. Yeah. And I truly, truly believe that. You walk different, you talk different, you act different, you think different. Yeah. Because you become such a dangerous person, but then you're able to control those emotions. And I think that makes a great leader.
Yeah, for real, I agree. It's wild. Like, you might have said that we didn't know how to do.
Yeah.
How to hurt someone.
Right. I mean,
like the first time I took someone out.
Yeah.
You just had looked in that hand.
Yeah. Like, God, I got these powers. Yeah.
So funny.
And I tell these kids, it is a superpower to have mixed martial arts training,
Yeah.
right? But if you are not emotionally stable and if you're not controlled and disciplined, then you're probably not worthy of having these.
Yeah.
And I tell these kids, if you're messing up along the way, I'm stopping all training.
Yeah.
We can start working on your mental on the side, but you're not going to be training anymore.
Okay.
Right? You're gonna be, we might be doing workouts, right, to make sure you're doing something tough still.
Yeah, but
we're not gonna no fighting. No, not until you're able to be worthy, and worthy, I mean just being able to be stable enough, emotionally controlled, and show me that you want it by showing me effort. So that's what we ask for the kids is just show me a little effort, and I'm gonna take you all the way.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome, dude. Well, that's all I got. Any last words of advice or anything you want to leave with?
No, I think we've encouraged what we could, but I think that if you're a kid out there and you're listening to this, go check out thecomeupkids.com. Go follow us on Instagram at @thecomeup_foundation. Go follow us on Facebook at The Come Up Inc. And if you like what you see, send me a message. I promise you, we got instructors and people that we can, we will do everything we can to help you out, to get you out of that rut. And we have a great team as far as the leaders, the kids that we have. We have some leaders and team captains that, we're starting to take them to go teach and stuff. And they're about to be the ones to start mentoring kids. Right. And so we have a great team, and don't be afraid, because you're going to have that anxiety. Like, should I message him? Should I even go to training? Because are they going to be fighting? Or, no, trust us. Walk into class. We're going to welcome you with open arms. And I promise you that your mentality will change. Just give us a chance.
All right, man. Thanks for going on. I'll make sure to put the links
Yeah.
in the description.
Awesome, brother.
But thanks for coming, man.
Thank you, brother. Yes, sir.
So thanks again, E-Man, for coming on the show. I had a great time talking to you. We had a great conversation. I'm going to leave all the links to the Common Foundation in the description. And I'm now on Spotify. So if you don't want to see, my ugly mug, you can go listen to me on Spotify with the same name, Subpar Grappling. And thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you next time on the mats.